Welcome to Digital Delights by Cyberknight, Chapter 4. You're here with me, Avinash Advani, the founder and CEO at Cyberknight, and I'm here with two very special guests, industry legends, Shabir Bhat, the Regional Sales Director at Checkmarx, and Mr. Samir Chopra, the CEO and founder at RNS. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, gentlemen, today we're going to talk about a very important topic that is buzzing, right, and has been buzzing for a while. We just returned back from the RSA conference, and one of the key topics at RSA was around cloud security. It's been trending for a while, but it continues to be buzzing here and around the world. Not just cloud, but cloud security as well. Now, gentlemen, as we know, many of the traditional security tools that have existed and best practices for data centers and on-premise that have worked traditionally, right, cannot seamlessly just be plugged in to protect your cloud environment and data. Now, the good news is that the cloud is programmable. It can be adapted and automated, as can be cloud security. Now, with all the various buzzwords that are going on in the industry, CSPM, CNAP, CWPP, CASB, it's buzzing. But as a cybersecurity professional, Shabir, what are the challenges that you see to cut through the clutter around cloud application security? And what are you witnessing in the context of regional organizations?
I think thanks for asking this question because as an industry, I think we have a rise in terms of cloud adoption. For the reason that companies and organizations want to cut down the load of that traditional approach wherein they had to use the legacy technologies, and that load is basically not allowing them to go towards the modern application development. And that baggage, basically they want to cut it short and move towards the cloud so that they can have this agile approach achieved in the real time. But there are challenges because companies see it as one of the issues when they look on breaking down this infrastructure right into the microservice. They want to look more on the container side of it and want to see more growth on that side. Sure. So in my view, I definitely see that yes, there has been the growth, there is a rise, and the cloud adoption is basically making the modern application development easy, because at a single point you are able to basically do multiple tasks, right? You have a comprehensive platforms wherein you will see the adoption from the users, adoption from the developers and the security guys, having that sort of an you can say combined solution offering to their DevSecOps environment.
Okay. Brilliant. Thanks, Shabir. Now, Samir, you know, right, that when organizations are actually moving to the cloud, there's a lot of tangible benefits that they feel, right? Organizations understand that as they move their applications to the cloud, it relieves the infrastructure team and the security team to a certain extent of the responsibility to build and maintain physical infrastructure. That's the obvious benefit of cloud adoption. But embracing the cloud to manage new applications, and you have to think also about securing those applications as well in this new environment. And the traditional tools that we spoke about before, which cannot technically solve those cloud-based, potentially containerized, Dockerized applications, right, means that cyber attacks are going to start or have already been attacking these new environments. Now, as an industry expert, Samir, in cybersecurity across various different technologies, what do you feel are the top cloud cybersecurity risks that regional organizations need to watch out for? And how do you think these organizations should be addressing them?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Today, the environment itself is exploding. So we have developers, and then we had the operations team, which came together for DevOps. Now we got the security team, and we got DevSecOps. Now we got the cloud team, and we've got infrastructure as a platform, code, infrastructure as code, all these things, right? So the attack surface has doubled, tripled, quadrupled, exponentially grown. The narrative that application security professionals have been given for the last few foreseeable past of shift left is obsolete today. Because when you say shift left, it means move your attention from where you're focusing and only focus on one particular area, which will create a ton of problems in the cloud in the cloud adoption era that you just mentioned, because of the containerization, API security, modern application development, and the likes. So this has to be, we have to shift everywhere. And that's the narrative that we have to educate our industry and our peers to focus on everything together.
Very powerful. Shift everywhere, not just shift left. Great way to look at it. Gentlemen, according to Gartner, right, which of course a lot of people pay very close attention to in this part of the world, in 2022 alone, 98% of companies reported experiencing at least one cloud breach. That's up almost 20% in just 2 years. So it's growing because of what you just said, the expanded attack surface, right? The fact that people aren't shifting everywhere, but they're shifting one direction. Now, 83% of those organizations had experienced more than one breach in the cloud, right? Now, what's even more shocking is that 43% of the companies reported 10 or more breaches in the cloud. So this beautiful new world definitely isn't looking as safe as everyone thinks it is without the right security controls to protect it, right? They say prevention is better than cure, right? But, you know, web applications came up initially as the primary target, and then many experts are now saying that is just the beginning. So I'm curious, both of you. Shabir, let's start with you. What advice and recommendations would you give to cybersecurity practitioners to boost their cyber resilience and to keep DevOps as well as cloud applications in check?
Yeah, see, from my understanding, what I see is that because now as Samir was mentioning the same point, is that the application has been now broken down into multiple pieces because of the architectural demand by the development or by the operation or by the security guys. And then because organizations also want to look on the cost, they want to make sure that the easy access as well as the speed is achieved within that time frame of the cost and the energy they put on developing this application. So what they are looking on is basically they consume third-party applications. They are consuming a lot of open source files. Supply chain is nowadays on rise. When the usability of that is rise, the Gartner itself says that 45% plus organizations have already being targeted, and by 2025, almost touching 50% of the organizations will have one or the other cybersecurity attack very much specific to the supply chain, right? And that basically brings the organizations to a point they have to consolidate. They have to look for a concept of zero-day risk protection, wherein they will have shift everywhere and a consolidated, you can say, management of the risk is done. And that's how Checkmarx like organizations have talked about shift everywhere. You have a consolidated approach wherein you can basically push the application in the same, you can say, process of baking a cookie, right? So it goes from one side, and when it reaches to the final envelope, which we call in our world while packaging the application, right? So is it completely secured at all the stages of API connections or supply chain or microservice based architecture, or we talk about the container. So consolidation and having a complete fusion based approach is what they should look for, and they should be looking for a centralized cloud adoption which gives them this shift everywhere approach to be achieved.
Great. Now, Samir, I want to get your take on this question as well, but just in the context also with all the various different cybersecurity buzzword cloud security tools out there, which I mentioned earlier, how do you tie it all together and cut through the clutter? And where does the customer need to focus, right? It's clear, shift everywhere. It's clear, consolidation, but where do they start? You know, what's your take on this particular question around building that cybersecurity resilience in the cloud, but not getting confused with all the noise?
So I mean, I'll tell you, I'll bring up one of my other favorite topics, right? Movies. I'm passionate. Everything, everyone, all at once. Dominated the Oscars, right? Sure. Like 6 Oscars, best movie, best director, best actress, all of that. I think that's the mantra for us in AppSec today. Really. Think about it. We have to address all the risk, all the applications, all the users, all the technologies, all the people, all the time. It cannot be one particular approach as a pre-run or only runtime or only SAST or only dynamic application testing. It is going to be, a platform which has multiple scanners all the time and is validating the approach and is validating the secure environment for the apps, for the users to be confident that yes, this is done. Actually, this is what Shift Everywhere means. Because we are not asking you to shift your focus and move it only towards one particular point. And that's what I wanted to summarize for all our listeners, all our viewers. We have to address everything all the time. But before you ask me this question, I was stuck about the cookie that Shabir said. I was like, oh, I was thinking about different types of cookies. So maybe after this we'll go for a cookie, Shabir.
Thank you, gentlemen. I mean, I think to tie it all up together, you talked about continuous monitoring, and that is a fundamental principle also of zero trust security. So when you tie this all up and you think about it, that if you want to really secure your cloud environment, you got to think zero trust, right? Which is continuously monitor as well. Gentlemen, it's been such a pleasure. Very insightful conversations today. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it very much. Thank you so much, Shabir. Thank you so much, Shabir. Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.